It's Blessed Enrichetta Dominici's feast day. So let's do a deep dive into her life and her teachings.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how relevant her wisdom still is, even centuries after she lived.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny? She started out obsessed with flowers, kind of like like any other kid.
Totally. Young Caterina Dominici, that was her name before she became a nun, by the way. Yeah, I just loved flowers. But it's kind of interesting how this passion of hers, it kind of shifted, right? From just appreciating nature to this much deeper longing for spiritual growth.
It really did. And it seems like her uncle, a priest, played a pretty big role in that change in her, that shift. He kind of challenged her, right, to think beyond just that surface beauty of the flowers and to consider their deeper meaning. Like he actually asked her, like, is this interest just for show? Or is it something deeper?
Right, right. And that question, it really seemed to spark a change in her. Katerina, she began intensely studying the lives of the saints, almost like I don't know, like a self-guided spiritual training before entering a convent.
Yeah, like a DIY novitiate.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow. And speaking of the convent, she felt this powerful call to join one, but her uncle wasn't initially thrilled about that idea at all.
Oh yeah, no, you can understand hesitation, right? I mean, this was the 1850s, and entering a convent meant like taking perpetual vows. So a lifetime commitment, basically. He was concerned. He was like, what if she regrets this huge irreversible decision? And he was quite comfortable with her choosing an what do they call it? An enclosed order, which meant limited contact with the outside world.
Yeah,
So there are a lot of layers to his hesitancy.
definitely, definitely. But her persistence, though, it's really inspiring. She wrote letters to her uncle, expressing her desire, and she even practiced self-denial as if she were already a novice.
Right, like she was living the life before even getting there.
Wow.
Yeah, and even her journey to the convent, it was an adventure in itself. Imagine traveling by carriage across Italy, like for days, ending with a prayer at Sanctuary of the Consolata in Turin. Talk about setting the scene, right?
Oh, I love those details. It just like makes her story come alive. And when she arrived, Caterina, now Sister Enrichetta, she entered the novitiate period, which, well, it wasn't easy. It was not a walk in the park.
Oh no, no, it was a time of intense training and spiritual formation. She faced demanding physical work. I mean, she experienced these periods of uh spiritual dryness, they call it, which are, these times when she felt distant from God, and she even had to deal with doubts from some of the fellow nuns who questioned her ability to adapt to this life. So, yeah, definitely not easy.
Wow, so many obstacles, right? But she persevered. She just viewed those challenges as opportunities to grow closer to God.
Exactly. And she didn't just endure them. She actually offered up her struggles for others. This concept of embracing suffering and trusting God's plan, even when things are difficult, it becomes a central theme in her life and her teachings.
It does, it does. And one of her sayings that captures this really well is, uh, the golden sentence from the Imitation of Christ is always true. The occasion reveals a man to himself. It really highlights how challenges and even suffering can lead to self-discovery.
It's about finding God, right? Like within those challenges, recognizing that He's present even in our pain.
That's powerful.
And Session Enriqueta, she almost seemed to welcome suffering as a way to purify her love for God. It wasn't about seeking pain, but understanding that it's part of life, and it can be offered up for others, for the church, for the sick, even for the conversion of sinners. It's really quite a radical perspective, but one that brought her immense inner peace.
It is. One of the biographies we read, there's this story where she describes feeling like great joy, even while experiencing spiritual dryness. That ability to find peace amidst difficulty, I mean, that's something we can all aspire to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't just about enduring hardship. Blessed Enriqueta also had this remarkable ability to find God in just the ordinary moments of life, Like this ties back to her early fascination with flowers, right? It's like she recognized the divine presence woven into the beauty of creation.
It's like she could see God in everything.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
exact.
amazing. And she had this knack for bringing that awareness into everyday life. It wasn't just about, grand spiritual experiences. It was about finding God in the simple things, in the rhythm of daily tasks, even in the interactions with others.
It's a call to be present, right? To be mindful, to find moments of connection with God in the midst of our busy lives. It's about cultivating that sense of wonder and appreciation that she had for the beauty of creation, whether it's a flower or just a simple act of kindness.
Beautiful.
And it's not just about, passive observation either. Blessed Enrichetta also, she emphasized the importance of action, like of using our gifts and our talents to serve others. She believed that true joy, it comes from, giving ourselves fully to God and to those around us.
And this leads us to another aspect of her life that's particularly intriguing. Her leadership. She eventually became Mother General of her order. But she never lost that personal touch, that genuine care for each individual. There's this story about her encouraging a timid sister to overcome her fear and invite another to a devotional practice. It shows how much she valued fostering, growth in others, even in seemingly small ways.
Yeah, her leadership style, it was so deeply rooted in her spirituality. It wasn't about, power or control. It was about empowering others, encouraging their unique shifts and helping them grow closer to God. Her example, it reminds us that true leadership is about service. It's about putting the needs of others before our own.
It's about leading by example,
Exactly.
inspiring others through our actions and not just our words. And this brings us to one of Blessed Enriqueta's most powerful and enduring legacies, her vision for the India mission.
Yeah, that's a story that really highlights her unwavering faith, her determination, and just her deep desire to share the gospel, with the world. It all started with a dream, a vision of herself and other sisters sailing across the ocean to India, this land where the Catholic faith hadn't really taken root yet.
It's amazing how this dream, which seemed impossible at the time, eventually became a reality.
Right.
But it wasn't without its challenges. I'm sure in our next segment we'll explore how Blessed Enriqueta overcame those obstacles and made her vision a reality through patience, persistence, and above all, trust in God's plan. So we left off with Blessed Enriqueta's incredible vision for this mission in India. I mean, it's hard to imagine how she even began to make that a reality back then, especially.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It was a daunting undertaking. Remember she became Mother General in 1861, and at that time, her order, the Institute of the Sisters of St.Ann, I mean, they were still pretty new and small. Their focus was mainly on education and service within Italy.
Right, right. So how did this whole idea of a mission to India, like how did it even come about?
Well, it seems like this desire to bring the gospel to distant lands, it was something she kind of carried within her for a long time. There are actually letters from as early as the 1860s where she mentions this pull towards missionary work.
Oh wow, so early on, did she specifically mention India in those early letters?
She did, yeah. She even described like this vivid dream where she saw herself and other sisters sailing to India. It was clearly, more than just a fleeting thought.
Wow. Yeah, dreams can be really powerful, but turning that dream into a reality, I mean, that must have involved a lot of challenges, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, gaining approval from the church, to establish a mission so far away, that was no easy feat. And then there was the issue of funding such a massive endeavor, and of course finding sister who were willing and prepared to journey to India. That was another huge obstacle.
Yeah, it sounds like she had her work cut out for sure. So how did she even begin to tackle all of that?
Well, what's fascinating is that she didn't let the scale of the task overwhelm her. Like instead of getting bogged down by the enormity of it all, she just focused on what she could control. Taking small but significant steps.
I like that. So what were some of those steps that she took?
Well, she started by incorporating prayers for the missions into the daily life of the entire institute. She wanted to cultivate like a spirit of missionary zeal among the sisters, like planting the seeds, so to speak.
Oh, that's a smart approach. Yeah, creating that foundation of prayer and support, before the mission even received official approval.
Exactly, exactly. And she didn't just stop at prayer. Blessed Enriqueta, she actually began, setting aside funds, even small amounts, with the intention of using them for the India mission.
Wow, that's really inspiring to see her dedication. What about finding the sisters to actually go on this mission? How did she approach that?
It doesn't seem like she actively recruited or pressured anyone. Instead, she focused on nurturing a spirit of selflessness and sacrifice within the institute. She often talked about, surrendering to God's will, being open to wherever he might call them, even if it meant, leaving their comfort zones behind.
Yeah, I can see how that would resonate with some. But still, going to India in the late 1800s, I mean, that must have seemed like such a radical leap of faith.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It demanded immense courage and a deep love for God and for the people they were called to serve. And remember, communication back then was much slower. So, once they left for India, staying connected with family and loved ones, that would have been incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom, making that kind of sacrifice. But clearly, Blessed Enrichetta's, her message, it inspired some of the sisters.
It did, yeah, and it wasn't just her words, it was, her actions spoke volumes too. She lived a life of simplicity, of service, and just complete dedication to God's will. She wasn't asking anything of her sisters that she wasn't willing to do herself.
Right, that's true leadership. Leading by example and inspiring others through actions rather than just words.
Precisely, precisely. And her unwavering commitment to the India mission, even when faced with, setbacks and delays, it was remarkable. There were moments when it seemed like the whole project would just crumble, due to lack of funding or permissions.
Yeah, those must have been really discouraging times. How did she keep going?
Her trust in God, it never wavered. She saw these challenges as tests of faith, as opportunities to purify her desires and to deepen her reliance on divine providence. And ultimately, her perseverance, it paid off.
It's amazing how she never gave up. So when did the first group of sisters finally set sail for India?
It was in 1887, so about 26 years after she first had that dream of the India mission. Imagine the joy and the excitement, surrounding that departure.
Oh, I can only imagine. What about Blessed Enriqueta herself? Did she ever get to, experience India firsthand?
Gladly, no, she didn't. By then, she was in her late 50s and her health was declining. However, she poured her heart and soul into supporting the mission, from afar through constant prayer, letters of encouragement, and just whatever, practical assistance she could offer.
Oh, it's incredibly moving that her dream was realized, even if she couldn't be there in person.
It is, and the impact of that mission, it continues to this day. The Sisters of St. Ann are still serving in India, carrying on Blessed Enrichetta's her legacy of love and service. It's a testament to the power of one person's vision, fueled by faith and just unwavering determination.
Her patience is truly remarkable. I mean, in a world that demands, instant gratification, she just shows us the importance of working steadily, praying constantly, and trusting that God will open doors, in his time.
And there's another key takeaway, I think, from her approach to the mission. She didn't see it as her own project, or something that she had to accomplish alone. She viewed it as God's work, and she saw herself as just an instrument in his hands.
Right. This humility, it's like a constant thread throughout her whole life. It was never about her. It was always about God and serving others.
Exactly, exactly. And that attitude, it allowed her to navigate those inevitable challenges, with grace and resolve. She wasn't attached to outcomes or credit or having everything unfold according to her plan. Her sole focus was on fulfilling God's will, whatever that might look like.
This brings us to another essential aspect of Blessed Enriqueta's life. Her profound devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It permeates her writings and the stories from those who knew her.
Yeah. Understanding her devotion to the Sacred Heart, it's key to understanding her spirituality, I think. It wasn't just about, rituals or sentimentality. It was a deep understanding of God's merciful love for humanity, a love so great that he offered his son for our salvation.
It seems like this awareness of God's love, embodied in the Sacred Heart, it was a source of strength and comfort for her, especially during times of suffering.
Absolutely. For Blessed Enrichetta, contemplating the Sacred Heart, it wasn't just, a feel-good exercise. It was a way to enter into the mystery of Christ's suffering and to unite her own struggles, with his. It was about finding solace and meaning amidst pain.
And it wasn't just about personal consolation, right? She also saw her devotion to the Sacred Heart as a way to draw others closer to God, to share that experience of merciful love.
Precisely. She encouraged everyone she encountered, her sisters, her students, everyone, to cultivate this devotion to the Sacred Heart. She wanted them to see it as a source of healing, of forgiveness and strength.
And this message, it couldn't be more relevant today. We live in a world that's often consumed by division and anger and fear. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that we're all beloved children of God.
It is, and Blessed Enriquetta's devotion, it reminds us that God's love is always available, regardless of our past mistakes or our current circumstances. His love is patient, it's merciful, and it's all-encompassing.
It's a love that can mend our wounds, pardon our transgressions, and empower us to face life's challenges, with courage and hope. But it's not just about internal feelings or private prayers. She also emphasized expressing this devotion, through concrete actions.
Right. She saw service to others, embracing suffering and spreading the gospel, as acts of love. For her, these were ways to make the love of the Sacred Heart, visible in the world.
So it's not about simply wearing a, Sacred Heart medal or reciting prayers. It's about living a life that reflects that merciful love in tangible ways.
Exactly. It's about seeing every interaction, every task, every obstacle as an opportunity to manifest God's love in the world.
That's a challenging call, but it's inspiring too. It suggests that we can all be instruments of God's love regardless of our circumstances.
And it reminds us that one of her most powerful sayings, now and always, if it pleases you, O Lord, and even until the end of the world, it isn't just a statement of surrender. It's an active commitment to serve God wholeheartedly. It's about letting go of our own plans and embracing his, even if it's not what we would have chosen.
It's a challenge to relinquish control, but it's also incredibly liberating. It means releasing the burden of trying to, manage everything and simply trusting that God is in control. That's a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll delve into more of Blessed Enriquetta's her insightful sayings and see how her wisdom can illuminate our own spiritual path. So we've explored Blessed Enrichetta Dominici's life, her journey, her challenges, and that incredible vision she had for the India mission. Now in this final part, let's dive into some of her most insightful sayings and see how her wisdom can speak to us, today.
Yeah, it's amazing. Her words are like little treasures, each one packed with so much meaning and guidance. They offer us a glimpse into her profound understanding of, the spiritual life, and they provide this practical advice for navigating our own journeys.
I'm eager to hear some of these gems. What sayings particularly resonate with you?
Well, one that always stands out to me is the occasion revealed a man to himself. It's such a powerful reminder that challenges, they're not just, they're not merely obstacles, but they're actually opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
Yeah, it's like a call to embrace those difficult moments, to see them as chances to learn and evolve. Like she's encouraging us to face those trials head on because that's where we truly find out who we are.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not just about self-discovery. It's about encountering God within those challenges, right? Another saying of hers that emphasizes this is what to do. The good God wants it this way. Let us do his will. He knows what is good for us.
Hmm. There's so much wisdom in those simple words. It's about that radical trust we've been discussing. Even when things are tough, we can choose to believe that God has a plan and that He's guiding us through it.
Yeah, Blessed Enriqueta, she understood that surrendering to God's will, it doesn't mean passivity, or resignation. It's about actively embracing life's challenges with faith and courage, knowing that we're not alone.
She had a way of just cutting through the complexities, and getting to the heart of the matter. What other sayings come to mind?
Well, there's one that's particularly fitting for our deep dive today, now and always, if it pleases you, O Lord, and even until the end of the world. It's just such a profound expression of surrender, a willingness to just say yes to God, no matter what.
It's an active commitment to serve God wholeheartedly, to let go of our own agenda and embrace His plan for our lives, even when it might not be what we initially desired.
Yeah, and that surrender, it can be challenging, but it's incredibly liberating, right? It's about releasing that burden of control and trusting in God's wisdom and guidance.
It's a journey of letting go and allowing God to work within us. Speaking of letting go, another powerful saying, well, Blessed Enriqueta, is we have to fear only one thing in this world: offense against God and the consequent loss of His friendship. I mean, this truly shifts our perspective.
It does. It's about prioritizing what truly matters. It's so easy to get caught up in worldly worries and anxieties, right? But Blessed Enriqueta, she reminds us that our primary focus should be on nurturing our relationship with God, on cultivating that friendship above all else.
So how can we cultivate that deep friendship with God amidst all the busyness and the distractions of our lives?
Well, Blessed Enriqueta's life, it offers us a blueprint. She lived a spirituality that was grounded in prayer, in service, and just this constant awareness of God's presence. It wasn't about, grand gestures or extraordinary feats. It was about finding God in the ordinary
In
moments.
the everyday, yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was about recognizing those opportunities to connect with Him in everyday tasks and relationships, and even in our struggles.
She saw everything as a chance to draw closer to God, to make his love present in the world, and she did it all with humility and joy, knowing that she was merely an instrument in His hands.
It's a beautiful example of how we can infuse our own lives with more meaning and spiritual depth. It's not about escaping the world. It's about embracing the present moment and finding God within it.
That's the core of Blessed Enrichetta Dominici's message, I think. Holiness isn't reserved for a select few. It's a call to all of us. It's about saying yes to God, surrendering to His will, and living a life of love and service, one ordinary moment at a time.
It's inspiring to remember that we all have the potential to be saints, to make a difference in the world simply by living intentionally with love and with trust in God's plan.
And Blessed Enriquetta's, her words, those little nuggets of wisdom, they can serve as our guideposts along the way, right? They remind us to embrace challenges, to surrender to God's will, to prioritize our relationship with Him, and to find joy in serving others.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the life and legacy of Blessed Enriqueta Dominici, let's just let her wisdom resonate within us. May we, like her, find God in the ordinary, surrender to His will, and live lives filled with love and service.
And may her words continue to inspire us and challenge us and guide us on our own unique paths towards holiness. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. 35 people.